Welcome back, everybody. Ready for deep dive number 4.
Deep dive number 4.
We're tackling practical tips for entrepreneurs and small business owners today,
Okay.
focusing on 4 powerful ways to boost growth and efficiency.
All right.
And you guys know we always have an expert source.
Yes.
Our source today is Gap Selling.
I love that book.
And trust me, this is going to change the way you think about sales
Totally.
and your entire business.
Yeah,
Huge thanks to Jamai for supporting us in this episode.
absolutely.
They're the absolute best when it comes to AI consulting.
Couldn't agree more.
And speaking of inspiring choices,
Uh-oh, who is it?
big shout out to @MrDrewKwassen on Instagram.
I love that guy.
His message of greatness lies within choice is spot on.
So
Make sure you check him out. All right,
do it.
let's dive in.
This book really challenges the traditional sales playbook.
In what way?
Well, it flips the script on how we approach customer interactions,
Okay.
starting with how we qualify leads.
So are we ditching BANT?
BANT budget, authority, need, timing.
Right.
It's been the go-to for so long.
Yeah.
But gap selling argues that it's just too surface level.
Interesting.
Instead of grilling potential clients about their budget before you've even built a rapport,
Right.
we need to focus on understanding the customer's current state.
Okay, I like that.
Think of it like this. You need to understand their world, their
Yeah.
challenges, their aspirations before you can even begin to offer a solution.
So instead of jumping right into a sales pitch,
Yeah,
we need to become detectives.
exactly. Instead of leading with features and benefits,
Yeah.
gap selling encourages us to ask thought-provoking questions that help customers uncover hidden opportunities,
I bet.
the ones they might not even realize exist.
Okay.
It's about guiding them on a journey of discovery, helping them see the gap between where they are and where they want to be.
Right.
That's where the real value lies.
It's like holding up a mirror, but instead of reflecting their physical appearance, it's reflecting their business challenges.
I like that analogy. And once they see that gap clearly, they're much more receptive to your solution.
Totally.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've ditched BANT and we're asking the right questions to uncover the gap.
Yep.
What's next?
Gap selling is all about being laser focused,
Okay.
especially when it comes to demos.
Right.
You should never combine a discovery session with a demo.
Okay.
They serve two completely different purposes.
No more cramming everything into one meeting.
Definitely not.
Okay.
You want to use the in-depth knowledge you gained from your thorough discovery to customize your demo.
Yeah.
Instead of throwing every feature at them and seeing what sticks,
Right.
you're showcasing how your product or service directly addresses their specific pain points, the ones you uncovered during the discovery phase.
So less is more,
Absolutely.
and it needs to be tailored to their needs.
Absolutely. Focus on a maximum of 6 key features
Okay.
that directly solve those crucial business problems.
I like it.
Think of it as a curated experience. You're highlighting the specific tools that will help them bridge the gap between their current state and their desired future state.
Got it.
Yeah.
So no BANT, deep dives into customer needs, and knockout demos that are all about quality over quantity.
That's right.
What else does Gap Selling have in store for us?
This is where it gets really interesting, uncovering the customer's why.
Now, this sounds deep.
It is.
What does that even mean in the context of sales?
It's about going beyond the surface level
Okay.
and understanding the intrinsic motivation behind their desired future state.
Interesting.
What's the driving force behind their goals and desires? What's the deeper emotional payoff they're seeking?
So it's not just about solving a problem.
Right.
It's about understanding the deeper reason why that problem matters to them.
Precisely. It's about getting to the heart of their motivations.
I see.
Gap selling suggests a simple yet powerful question. Tell me a bit about what is driving this change.
Okay.
This question can unlock a whole new level of understanding. That's so interesting because when you know their why, you can tailor your solutions and your message in a way that truly resonates.
Yes.
It's like speaking their language,
Oh,
building a genuine connection that goes beyond a typical sales transaction.
exactly. And that connection can be the key to unlocking long-term success,
Right.
both for you and your customer.
Absolutely.
It's about forging a true partnership where everyone wins.
Okay, this is all starting to click.
Good.
But gap selling doesn't just stop at understanding the why, does it?
It does.
There's more to the story.
There is. Gap Selling also gives some powerful advice about how to avoid becoming a pushover in the sales process.
Okay.
Ready to hear more about that?
Absolutely. I think everyone struggles with that at some
Oh,
point.
okay.
So I'm all ears.
Great. So we've talked about understanding the customer's why, But gap selling also emphasizes the importance of not becoming a pushover in the sales process. Yeah, I think this is something we all struggle with. Like, where do you draw the line between being helpful and being taken advantage of?
It's a delicate balance, for sure, but gap selling offers some great advice. It all boils down to recognizing your value as an expert. You're a consultant, not a servant.
So no more bending over backward for unreasonable demands.
Exactly. You have to be willing to say no to requests that don't provide a valuable return. Remember the acronym ROSI, Return on Sales Effort,
Invest your time and energy wisely makes perfect sense.
and strive for a balanced sales cycle.
Okay.
It should be a true partnership where both parties benefit.
Like a dance, not a dictatorship.
Exactly. A beautifully balanced dance where you help your customers achieve their dreams while achieving your own.
Speaking of achieving dreams, let's get back to that idea of uncovering the customer's why. How do we practically apply that in our sales conversations?
It's all about asking the right questions at the right time when you're discussing their future state. Try asking, "Tell me a bit about what is driving this change."
It seems so simple, but I can see how powerful that question could be.
It is. It opens up a whole new level of conversation. You're moving beyond the surface level of their needs and tapping into their deeper motivations.
And once you understand those motivations, you can tailor your solutions and your message in a way that truly resonates.
Exactly. You're speaking their language, you're connecting on an emotional level, and that's where the magic happens.
Okay, I'm sold. Knowing the why is a game changer, but what about when things get complicated? Like when multiple decision makers are involved?
That's a great point. The sales landscape is changing. Gap selling highlights that the average B2B sale now involves 5.4 decision makers.
Wow, that's a lot of people to keep happy.
It is, and it's why understanding the customer's buying process is more crucial than ever.
So you can't just charm one person anymore. You need to navigate a complex web of stakeholders and influencers.
Exactly, and this is where the concept of decision criteria comes into play.
Decision criteria, what exactly does that mean?
Think of it as a roadmap to closing the deal. The decision criteria are the specific factors your customer will use to evaluate different solutions. It's their checklist of must-haves and deal breakers.
So if I can figure out their decision criteria up front, I can tailor my approach to hit those sweet spots.
Precisely. You're speaking their language and demonstrating that you understand their needs on a deeper level.
That makes so much sense. But what if their decision criteria don't seem to align with their stated goals? What if there's a disconnect?
That's a great question. And gap selling encourages us to address those inconsistencies head on. Don't be afraid to have those tough conversations.
So no more sweeping awkward moments under the rug.
Definitely not. The book recommends asking a clarifying question like, "I'm a bit confused. You mention X as your top priority, but some of your decision criteria seem to focus on Y. Can you help me understand why these criteria are so important to you?"
That's a great way to approach it. You're respectfully challenging their assumptions and making sure everyone is on the same page.
Exactly, and sometimes those conversations can be a bit uncomfortable, but it's better to surface those issues early on rather than getting blindsided later in the process.
I completely agree. Okay, so we figured out their decision criteria and we're ready to move forward. What's the next step in this gap selling sales process?
Gap selling talks about focusing on next yeses.
Next yeses. What are those?
It's a simple but powerful concept. Instead of fixating on the big yes at the end of the sale, you break it down into a series of smaller yeses that move the deal forward.
Like a staircase. Each yes is a step that leads to the final destination.
Perfect analogy. By securing those smaller yeses along the way, you build momentum and keep the sale progressing.
I love that. But this isn't about manipulating the customer into saying yes, right?
Not at all. It's about providing value at every stage of the process. Each next yes should be a win-win situation for both you and the customer.
Could you give me an example?
Let's say you're selling software. Instead of jumping straight to a demo, you might ask for a next yes to schedule a follow-up call where you can share some relevant case studies.
That way they're getting valuable information and you're moving closer to a potential demo.
Exactly. It's a win-win for everyone involved, and it keeps the momentum going.
Okay, so we've got our decision criteria figured out. We're focusing on those next yeses, and we're navigating the buying process like pros. Anything else we need to keep in mind?
Gap selling has one final piece of advice for us. Don't be the customer's britch.
I love how straightforward this book is. But seriously, how do we walk that fine line between being helpful and being a pushover?
It all comes back to remembering your ROSE return on sales effort. Don't be afraid to say no to requests that don't offer a valuable return.
And what about those customers who demand pricing up front before they've even had a conversation with us?
That's a classic example of a situation where you need to hold your ground. You need to educate them on the value of a proper discovery process.
Because without that deep understanding of their needs, any price you quote will be meaningless.
Exactly. It's like throwing darts in the dark. You're not going to hit the target.
Okay, I'm getting the picture with it. We need to be assertive, know our worth, and guide the customer towards a true partnership.
Exactly. And when you approach sales with that mindset, you're setting yourself up for long-term success.
This is all such great advice, but I think we need to give our listeners a chance to digest everything we've covered so far. We've talked about the power of knowing your customer's why, the importance of understanding the buying process, and the fine art of not being a pushover. We even explored the concept of next yeses and how they can help keep the sale moving forward.
I agree. It's a lot to take in, and we want to make sure our listeners can apply these principles to their own businesses.
Let's take a quick pause and come back with the final chapter of Gap Selling. We've got some exciting insights to share about prospecting and closing those deals.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Okay, so we're back. And it's time to wrap up our deep dive into gap selling. I feel like we've covered a lot of ground,
We have.
from ditching BANT to
Right.
mastering the art of the next yes.
Yes.
But I think there's one crucial piece of the sales puzzle that we haven't tackled yet, and that's prospecting.
Prospecting, yeah.
You know,
It can be tough.
It often gets a bad rap.
It does.
It can feel like a necessary evil, but gap selling shows us how to approach it with a customer-centric mindset.
Right. I love that.
So no more spamming inboxes with generic messages.
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Instead of leading with a sales pitch,
Yeah.
we need to provide value from the very first interaction.
Okay.
It's all about showing potential customers that we understand their world, their challenges, and their aspirations.
But with so much noise out there,
Yeah.
like how do we cut through the clutter and get their attention? Like everyone's inbox is overflowing.
That's where those thought-provoking questions we talked about earlier
Right.
come in handy.
Right.
Remember how we used them to uncover the customer's gap during discovery? We can use the same approach in our prospecting messages.
So instead of sending a generic email boasting about our product's features,
Yeah,
we should lead with a question that addresses a real pain point.
exactly. For example, let's say you're selling marketing automation software.
Mhm.
Instead of a boring list of features,
Right.
you could ask something like, are you struggling to keep up with the demands of content creation and distribution?
Yeah, that's such a common pain point for marketers. Like that would definitely grab my attention.
Right.
It's like you're speaking directly to my struggles.
Yeah,
And once you have their attention, you can offer valuable insights
absolutely.
or resources that demonstrate your expertise and position yourself as a helpful guide.
Yes.
So it's not about selling right off the bat.
No.
It's about educating and providing value, which ultimately builds trust and positions you as a go-to resource.
Exactly.
Remember, the goal of prospecting is to start a conversation,
Yes.
not to close a deal immediately.
That's right.
It's about opening the door to a potential partnership. Yeah. So gap selling really provides a refreshing perspective
I think so.
on the entire sales process.
I agree.
It's all about building genuine relationships,
Yeah,
understanding your customer's deepest needs and motivations,
that's right.
and guiding them towards a future state that exceeds their expectations.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
Thank you.
It's about shifting from a transactional mindset to a transformational one.
I think we've given our listeners a lot to think about today, and I hope they're feeling inspired to put these gap selling principles into practice.
Me too. It's not about being pushy or manipulative. It's about being a trusted advisor, a problem solver, and a partner in your customer's success.
Absolutely. This has been an incredible deep dive.
It has.
Remember, gap selling is all about choice.
Yeah.
You can choose to stick with the old way of doing things, or you can choose to embrace a new approach that's focused on building genuine partnerships and creating lasting value.
That's right.
And that's it for the deep dive.
Yep.
Be sure to subscribe and check out Notebook LM, the amazing tool that makes this deep dive possible.
Absolutely.
And don't forget to check out @MRDrewQuason on Instagram for more inspiring messages.
He's the best.
Until next time, happy selling.